practice players, so a good build-up system for them, plucking some players from that Slugs team. But yeah, Greg stepping it up there, getting the block in the lane and the assist. And I haven't seen, Goat had two Hawks there, but didn't really use the lack of wind today. You can definitely throw high and around.
We welcome those of you who just joined us. We are at the Wall-to-Wall Soccer Park, an indoor facility in Mason, Ohio, about 15-20 minutes from where we were earlier today. Revolver and Goat, men's semifinal at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Started about 7.5 hours ago, interrupted twice by lightning, and now extenuating circumstances have forced us indoors. Evan Lepler alongside Liam Grant. Revolver has scored twice, back-to-back breaks since we began indoors. It was 9-6 when we transitioned. Now it's 11-6, but just like that, Goat finds its rhythm offensively. Nathan Hurst, as quick as he is on grass, maybe even faster indoors, it's 11-7.
Yeah, from what I've seen of Goat so far, Hurst has been their best player. He got a crazy foot block against Cassie Rasmussen in that first half and grinds out some great unders. It's been so reliable for them. They need big characters like him to step up if they want to get back into this game, because they're also facing Revolver, but now they're fighting the clock.
Liam, I've had the privilege of broadcasting games in some special venues, college football, college basketball. The electricity in this building right now is unlike anything I've ever experienced. The World Ultimate Club Championships, the semifinals, it is ridiculous in here. Fans lining up across the way, piling into this field house. Can Toronto Goat flex its defensive muscle? Will Revolver's typically sturdy O-line falter? Marcy out there with Ashlyn Joy, who fires deep to a wide open Grant Lindsley. McKenzie trying to get there, and he does! The disc was fading out of bounds, and Mike McKenzie recovered. Make it Ian McKenzie denying Lindsley the score. Now Vasiliev the other way. Keffer in pursuit. Sanchez defensively, and it's incomplete out of the hands of Keffer and intercepted by Ashlyn Joy.
The McKenzie brothers have such a good first half of this game. Mike McKenzie scoring their only break, and Ian McKenzie getting the D to do so.
Foul was called on this throw. Anatoly Vasiliev was marked by Eli Friedman, and it appears there was no contest. One thing to note, just these first couple of minutes, it seems like the time on the clock has forced a sense of urgency, especially for Goat, but Revolver, first throw huck from Joy to Lindsley.
Yeah, if I was Martin Cochran, their coach here, I'd be telling them to play some small ball, run the clock down. You see it done in soccer, maybe hit the corner flags, keep possession there.
11-7 is the score. Later tonight, in fact, right after this game ends, Double Wide and Colony, presumably they're in an adjacent field warming up. Vasiliev shooting deep. Mike McKenzie's open, and he's in the end zone. The emphatic punt spike to punctuate the break. It's 11-8.
The McKenzie brothers stepping it up. As I said, Mike McKenzie got their only break goal in the first half, and they didn't have a great quarterfinal. The McKenzie brothers were a bit sleepy, but are milking this atmosphere here, stepping it up. And as I said, I think they're going to take a lot of deep shots, and early, Evan. They're fighting this clock. They have to do so. No timeouts in this game.
The clock currently showing 11:23, 11:22 and ticking. Goat needs many more breaks. San Francisco Revolver, Liam, was tested in the pre-quarter round of 16. They struggled to get by Free Speed from Switzerland. But after securing that 15-12 win, they took care of business against Chalk in the quarterfinals, dispatching the French. And now looking to get back to the finals. Revolver has won this event the last two times, 2010 in Prague, 2014 in Lecco. There's a throw behind Davis, but a foul called. And once again, we've got Friedman and Vasiliev tangling, no contest on the flip side. Vasiliev gives it back to Friedman.
Vasiliev with a famous mark, or maybe an infamous mark at times.
The reset to Joy, who had the errant throw indoors. You conditions would make it even easier for him, but he hadn't spent too much time in here warming up, no more than 15 minutes or so. Friedman drops the hammer. Davis, the clean clap catch. Revolver's at 12.
Yeah, nice hold by Revolver there. And it's not often you see Antoine Davis on O-lines for teams, but this year it seems like they trust him with that role. Probably the most athletic player, one of the most athletic in Ultimate right now. You expect him to be on defense.
Johnson angles it to the end zone. What a bid and grab. Eli Kearns delivers in front of the fans on this historic night.
Incredible trailing edge grab. I think it was Arm that first made contact with that far end zone corner, being called in. I don't know if this indoors arena has seen a game quite like this. I believe there might be an indoor soccer rec game going on later. Don't know, have quite the same atmosphere.
Yeah, the tentative schedule has Colony and Double Wide coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern, then Revolution Brute Squad at 7:30. That Colony game is 7-5 with the Aussies in front. Revolution leading Brute Squad 7-6. Interestingly, Revolution getting ready to pull a Brute Squad, but Revolution is up a break when they get to 8. Revolution will receive to start the second half. The Colombian women began that game with back-to-back breaks. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern time, Riot Molly Brown. Then there's going to be a break because there's already an event scheduled in this building, so we won't be back until 10:30 Eastern time for the mixed semifinals, BFG and AMP, and then 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, Slow White and Wild Card. That's the plan, but as you know, God hears the best thought out plans and laughs. Harris fires. Quinn shows the speed, creating the separation, but just shy of the goal line. Oh, the reset. Shaky, but Kelly hangs on. Isaiah throws it high, and McKenzie rises to meet it.
McKenzie absolutely ignorant of Newton's laws there, getting up for his second break. In his world, apples fall up and opponents cower down. That is a crazy play there. Don't know if Mazzucchelli needed to throw it that high, but McKenzie happy to take it down.
We were worried that 20 minutes might not be long enough, but with the points going this quickly, perhaps that's more than enough time. There's currently just under 6 minutes remaining on the clock. 13-9, Revolver in front. And as we mentioned before, it's a true hard cap. Once this clock expires, they'll finish the current point, and if the game is not tied, it's over.
Goat looking to upset Revolver again. Did so in 2014 in the USCU National Championships in the quarterfinal.
That was a historic game. Mark Lloyd, Derek Alexander, Jeff Lindquist, and the rest of GOAT ending Revolver's reign, opening the door for Johnny Bravo. Lindsley shooting it. Higgins chased by McKenzie, and Simon Higgins elevates and scores.
Revolver are not holding back. They are not trying to run the clock down. They're not going to do any Neymar plays and fake some injuries. They're just going for it. They're going to play Ultimate like the clock's not there.
They're playing like they've got a 7:30 dinner reservation down the street.
And I'm amazed to see so many fans in the building.
Isn't this incredible?
We only got word about 30 minutes ago ourselves that it was happening, and everyone flocked wherever they were, fluctuated into this arena.
This event with more than 3,000 athletes from nearly 40 different countries, 128 teams playing more than 600 games that started last Saturday and culminates tomorrow, weather permitting. Who knows? We might be back in this space tomorrow. I wonder if they're already booked and how much hand-holding it would take to get in here. Nathan Hurst for GOAT. It would be almost impossible right now for the Torontonians, but that's not going to stop them from pursuing. And it's Ben Burrell running this one down, 14-10 with just under 4 minutes on the clock.
Electrifying pace from Burrell there. I'm pretty sure that shot was going up to Massa Kelly, but Burrell overtaking everyone.
Liam, I was joking with members of both teams before the game that if it hit the rafters, it would be a turnover. But if you threw it through the rafters and into the end zone, it would count for 2. Of course, I was being facetious, but if that were true, that would give Toronto some hope.
Yeah, we actually play indoor ultimate quite a lot in Europe, and if you do hit the rafters, it is a turnover. Interesting to see them change the rule for this one-off game.
Well, so far, there hasn't been a throw that has come within 20 feet of these rafters, but Jimmy Mickle likes to drop some hammers. He'll be out here next with Colony.
Playing indoors a lot myself, we'd actually train people to do that. We think it's a better way of hucking when you have no wind like this.
Big backhand pull, knocked down by Joel Schlockett. It centers to Jordan Marcy. Down at 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock. Never in a whiff-diff event has the clock meant so much. Grant Lindsley with the disc, a pick call downfield. Got to imagine that as the intensity rises, the temperature is going to rise in here as well. You're not going to leave here without putting up a pretty good sweat later tonight. Ashlyn Joy beats Zlotich up the line. The all-world handler resets for Marcy, swings it for Lindsley, and into the end zone. That's the game. Joel Schlockett hauls in the winner, and Revolver will start to think about the championship match that will happen, hopefully, weather permitting, sometime on Saturday. This was just a small taste of Ultimate as Revolver ends it with a minute 40 left on the clock. They advance past GOAT 15-10. Liam, we haven't had too long to break this one down, but your thoughts on this whole unbelievable experience?
Yeah, amazing. Great effort from Joel Schlockett there, getting his 14th goal, the top scorer for this Revolver team, the end zone tyrant. Yeah, this is a strange event. It will go down in history as a notable achievement for the organizing committee to make a semi-final happen. Many people would just cancel this. But I think it's really interesting. It adds more drama to the situation. Fair play to GOAT for fighting hard, but yeah, that's one semi-final aside, lots more to come.
Drama indeed, certainly a sour taste left in the mouth of GOAT. Hopefully they get a chance to play for a medal, because they would be a worthy bronze medalist with how they have performed in the first ever World Club Championships for the program. Hard to believe because they've been around for such a long time, but it's been largely a Furious George Canadian representation through the years. But San Francisco Revolver, in every year of their history since the franchise was founded, and they've gone to WUCC, they've been to the finals. The remarkable run continues. They're guaranteed at least a silver, but they are looking for a gold. Colony and Double Wide coming up in approximately 12-13 minutes. Tom Stiles and Ian Toner will be with you for the call of that one. For now, we sign off on this historic night from the Wall-to-Wall Soccer Park in Mason, Ohio. For our incredible producer, Charlie Eisenhood, we thank Ulti-World and their staff. Liam Grant, I'm Evan Lepler. The fun's just beginning, everybody. Revolver on its way to the finals.
Welcome to Cincinnati and the slightly unusual situation for this semi-final matchup, the continuation of a semi-final matchup between Colony and Double Wide. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Ian Toner in a sports hall. What's happening, Ian? What on earth is going on this afternoon?
Well, this is unprecedented territory for the World Flying Disc Federation. A number of lightning-related delays forcing competition to proceed inside. We do have a full-length regulation pitch in front of us. We have been testing out some throws in these conditions, and we've already seen one half, so to speak, of ultimate. Not a lot of impact on the players' throws, other than there's no wind in here, so every throw in your arsenal is on the table.
You're good to go, aren't you?
The pulls are making it without hitting the rafters. Hammers are making it through without hitting the rafters. This is wide open, high adrenaline ultimate, and I think the scene is the story right here, because we've never been in a situation where we've had a packed arena or a packed stadium for a World Ultimate Club Championship semifinal or championship bracket game for that matter. And the acoustics, the way the crowd responds after incredible grabs like we saw in that GOAT Revolver semi, they inspire goosebumps.
I've just been outside to go and talk to Colony and Double Wide. There's a little practice field over on the other side of the cafeteria area on this other side of the field. If we can get a couple of shots from above the field here, the cafeteria area is absolutely rammed with people trying to get into this arena. You've got Revolutioner out there doing their warm-up dance. Molly Brown have got the poo noodles whacking each other. And Double Wide and Colony are running a little warm-up drill to get themselves ready. But as Ian Toner was saying there, the noise in this place when the excitement kicks off is something else. They said the Friday night party was cancelled. Well, I think they need to rethink this. It is so loud in here. Both teams having an interesting first half. Double wide breaking Colony early on in the game, and then Colony fighting their way back to a 7-5 lead. Kurt Gibson on the sideline. Players just didn't know about this until 5 p.m. when they got the message. They were preparing, they were relaxing, they didn't know whether they were going to be on this afternoon or on tomorrow. It's just been a crazy build-up, but we're here.
And, you know, our whole commentary team was in the hotel together, and we were scattered amongst a couple different rooms, and we saw the message go out on our official communication channel, and we kind of said to ourselves, hey, is this some kind of joke? Like, did somebody get the keys to the Twitter handle or take Tom's Slack permissions and just yank everyone's chain on a Friday afternoon? But I have to say, hats off to all of the organizers, all of the volunteers. They've gotten this pitch, this streaming facility, everything set up and ready to go in record time.
We arrived here 80 minutes before that first game started, and in that 80 minutes we saw the advertising hoardings go up, the gantry behind us where the camera is based go up. We saw the entire Ultiworld and Fulcrum crew set up this incredible technical rig on tables by the sides of the fields. The medical centre is ready to go, and now they've started to see spectators arrive, and they're managing that as best they can, but they're standing 5 deep on the other side of the hall. There's no spectators on this side of the hall in.
Well, we're approaching the ever popular standing room only designation, and I've seen people out in the hall out there take seats or take perches on top of tables. I've never seen this before for an Ultimate game. You know, I think in recent years, at least in the U.S. club scene, some players and spectators around the community have kind of bemoaned the fact that, you know, as opposed to the early 2000s when the finals were in Sarasota and you could actually ring around the field without any traditional stadium blockages or stands or bleachers to cordon yourself off into, you know, that's something that's been missing. That environment isn't happening or isn't generating in any championship settings. But now we've got spectators 10 yards away, not locked away in a bleacher section, right up here against the action.
And every single bit of noise they make is going to bounce off the ceiling, bounce off the walls, and it's creating a real atmosphere. Wow. And we've got a game in store for you as well. Colony, the team from Sydney, double wide from Texas, and 7-5 the score is. They're 1 point away from half. They are only going to mirror at half. They're not going to take any sort of break. The stats sheet from the first half is nearby. I think we're trying to work out desperately how Revolver just stopping by to say thank you very much. I think the players themselves were quite astounded when they arrived here and found that there was already streaming facilities set up. All the cameras, commentators were ready to go. Game advisors were, it's just, I'm in awe at how the 100 or so volunteers and passionate people who are passionate about Ultimate have managed to turn this around in.
So we're 1 minute away from the opening poll here. Just to give everyone just another rundown on the conditions and environmental factors that might be impacting this game. We watched that GOAT Revolver second half, and in my estimation, it felt like GOAT was pulling the trigger on shots that they wouldn't otherwise pull the trigger on. But I think that had less to do with the wind and more to do with the timing constraints and the comeback that they had to mount in the short period of time. I'll be interested to see how patient the double wide offense is here. The clock's working against them too. They're down 2, just a point away from half.
And some of the most powerful throwers in the sport, Tom Tullett, Mark Evans, we've got Jimmy Mickle and Chris Kocher for the Sydney side, Colony. And Kurt Gibson for double wide, and some other big shooters as well. Ian.
That's absolutely right. You know, this double wide offense isn't afraid of using side stacks and general isolations to put its athletes out in space and give them a chance to make big-time one-on-one plays. Colony getting set to pull here as we resume play. Again, still technically in the first half, and we will be mirroring halftime.
Here we are in Cincinnati, in the wall-to-wall soccer center for an indoor semi-final as double wide take the disc. Straight away, the Colony defense arrive, storming down this turf field.
And we've seen this junk from the Colony defense before. They ran it with some success against Ring yesterday in their quarterfinal.
I must admit, I was not expecting to see any zone defense. With no wind on the field, the deep shots are going to be on. Anelia gets a run-through block and has little slippage. The turf not quite providing as much purchase as Colony were used to in that first half on the grass that had been well watered from this morning's rain. Rob Andrew just nearly losing his footing now. Double wide, looking for a way out. Finally finds it with Gibson making himself available. Sends the disc deep. There's going to be some pressure under this, but it's grabbed and taken high. Lands just inside the end zone. It's a score for double wide. They're back within one, 7-6 the score.
Well, that's a heck of a matchup there. You saw Kocher transitioning, switching on to Kurt Gibson. And as best I could tell before that throw went up, Colony was trying to hold a backhand force. It looked like Gibson was able to get a nice shimmy to open up that flick window, and then he got that flick break hook to go off down the line. Jay Frood making the play against Gavin Moore.
Frood very active in the first half as well. Well, the crowd just settling a little. 6 or 7 deep on the far side of the field. We're trying to squeeze more and more people into the corners of the end zones either side. The staff at the door, who I had to get special permission of coming through because they were crowded 6 deep through the door as I went out and then came back.
Well, you know why that was, Tom. You weren't wearing your iconic hat.
I had to wave the hat in the air just to make myself known. Tullett for Colony to Mickle. Mickle moving across to the Sydney area. A pit call in the stack, coming back in on 0. Moving across to the Sydney area along with Kocher to play with Colony for this season and travel with them.
And we saw Mark Evans slipping on a jab cut there. That's not the first player we've seen slip on this turf. Grip a little bit questionable.
Mara so close to getting that grab for double wide.
Kaplan Maurer, the 2017 Ulti-World Defensive Player of the Year, having a coming out party of sorts on double wide's run to the USA Ultimate Club Championship final last season.
Mickle and Tullett, and you saw how Tullett slowed down there. Lots of little steps. Evans again, lots of little steps, not wanting to do a big stop. The grip isn't available. Both teams having to adjust. The around shot to Ely.
And look at how hard this Colony offense is having to work simply to reset the disc. They've barely gained any yardage off the pull.
Shepherd to Kocher. Kocher back to Mickle. Mickle's going to have to work hard to get this. He bids, he grabs. What an incredible play from Jimmy Mickle just to keep the disc alive. Tullett now. He'll have taken a scrape on the elbows for his trouble as well. The surface out here is plastic. Evans sends it deep to Kocher. Rising high. Defense and contact made. A foul call from Kocher. Not a popular shout from the players and some of the fans as well.
We get another look. Dalton Smith is incensed on the sideline, yelling, "That's soft." A
game advisor stepping in.
As as we see Chris Larberg discussing things with Chris Kocher.
It's contested, it's going to get sent back. Just scrolling back up the field. And when you do have this big atmosphere, lots of fans and spectators in the hall, every questionable decision is going to raise the pantomime cheers or boos from the crowd. Tullett chasing that one down. Shepard darting into the end zone. Now makes the away cut, leaving space down the channel. Mickle looking for the reset around. Goes to the ground, and disc coming back in on 0. Bennett contacting Tullett. Mickle looking up the line. Finally gets it, exchanges a 1-2 disc, throws the fake, throws across the end zone. Ely with the reception in the far corner. And Colony are not going to give up this 2-point lead.
Well, as this tournament goes on, I see things from this Colony offense that I hadn't seen every single game they play when you compare this to their performance earlier in the tournament. Yesterday, it was all about their D-line offense converting without their stars on the pitch. Today, it's all about the patience of their O-line. That possession had to take them dozens and dozens of throws. They didn't even have to gain any yardage in the first 2 minutes of that point, but they were content to swing the disc, maintain possession until the optimal look opened up. This Colony offense is coming into form at exactly the right time.
Now you saw a replay there of that Ely hammer grab from Mickle. All the play working through those star Colony players, Tullett, Mickle, Kocher, Evans, and Ely making himself available at the back of the stack in the end zone. The teams have switched now. It's half, but they're not going to take any time about it. 8-6 is the score. And double wide with a vital offensive point coming out. Time on the clock is just 12.5 minutes remaining, and that disc lands out of bounds. Inexcusable with no wind on the fielding, and they've thrown a pull out of bounds. Colony giving up the yards.
And I wonder how much that pull was compromised by the ceiling and the roof beams. The puller afraid to let loose at peak altitude.
Gibson for double wide. Deep in the field, there's a free runner coming down this near side. Richardson available as the Colony zone defense works. We might see this melt. 1 or 2 more passes. Look out for that. Currently staying with it. Looking for space across. Threatens the hammer.
And his foot was on the line. That was unquestionably out from this vantage point. His foot was clearly on the line.
Has he caught the disc in?
That's Henry Ferruta. His disc was absolutely, beg your pardon, his foot was unquestionably on the line. And again, we have game advisors here, not observers. Game advisors cannot make active in, out, or up, down calls.
They resolved quickly. I think both teams wanting to see this game played out properly, not with too many long calls. And a player has gone down, and he's gone down in some pain, catching a foot in the turf, and he seems to have twisted a knee.
He just blew out his fucking knee, guys. Jesus Christ.
That looked like a difficult fall. No contact made, change of direction.
And the game advisors are discussing the potential of stopping the clock. We hope Dan Petrov's okay as he hops off the pitch.
It looked like an awkward one, but he did jump up pretty quickly. Halfway through this 20-minute game when the whistle goes. Again, another little slip there from Nichols. So he came to take position. Very easy to build up speed on this rubber surface, but taking it off again has proved problematic for all the players. Gibson.
Colony perfectly content to sit in this junk defense that makes the double wide throwers second guess their thoughts and eat more clock.
That knife exposing the space behind the cup. And quite right about the speed of the defense. The block, high grab, couldn't contain it. And Colony punched the air with celebration. That knife to the back of the end zone almost pulled off perfectly, but just enough backward lean, a high hand reaches, and double wide couldn't contain it.
Well, Matt Bennett will be the first to tell you that he's a questionable decision maker. And that flick blade, while a quick release option, not the optimal look against this Colony zone, especially in the red zone.
Colony struggling for footing. A deep bailout shot goes right across the field. Wasn't the optimal pass. They ran out of time on that throw. And now double wide. Colony not able to set their defense. Running with a one-on-one matchup. Looking a little bit loose and chaotic out there as well. Double wide. Can they capitalize on the space given to them from the Sydney team? Running across and a high grab. What great form. Kept the eyes on the disc the whole way. Jay Frood with the layout and the assist into the front of the end zone. And double wide back within 1, 8-7.
Well, Matt Bennett redeems himself after that costly red zone turnover, earning the block on the bailout shot from Ladamatos, as we get another look at that fantastic defensive effort from Rob Andrews. Great awareness and athleticism. But Jay Frood won't be outdone at the other end, saving possession and continuing into the end zone to Kirk Gibson.
It'll be no surprise to you, Ian, or anyone else that's ever watched any World Flying Disc Federation action in front of a crowd, that the crowd are always going to root for the non-American team. Don't take it personally, okay? Don't take it personally. It's just going to happen, okay?
No harm done.
No harm done, okay. So when Colony do something, they'll be cheering, and when double wide do something, there won't be as much cheering. But the action that we're seeing out here, particularly Jay Frood there, the eyes were on the disc, locked on. He knew what he had to do. He timed his jump perfectly and hung on. It's a puller's dream, this indoor hall, spreading the play. And a stack up the middle. Tullett distributing to the sideline. Abra Garfield floats to Evans. Evans slows the cut steadily with multiple short steps, wanting to take the pace off. And a block. Incredible dive from Mora.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kaplan Maurer is here.
And double wide with a chance to tie it up at 8. Tullett comes through the back. Kaplan Maurer again the target and involved. Mickle goes down the line to block that. There's a hand in the air on the far side of the field. Pick in the centre. And with 6.5, a foul called, uncontested. It's coming back in on 1. Hammer to the far side. Double wide have space, but quick movement from Mickle takes away the action and the line. Front of the end zone. They're in for a point, and they've leveled it up 8 apiece, and we have ourselves a game in front of this crowd in the soccer stadium in action of the highest order.
And that's the challenge with forcing flick in these no wind conditions, these perfectly still conditions. You're always exposing and giving that hammer option. And after the foul call, when Maurer needed to reset the disc, he was under pressure, the stall count was rising. He was able to uncork a crossfield hammer to Dalton Smith to relieve the pressure, preserve possession. I really think a backhand force is the smartest adjustment that these teams can make playing in these conditions.
If you ask, I mean, we play a lot of indoor ultimate in the UK, and that is the standard force. You force backhand because that a knife break is so much harder to pull off than the hammer break.
Absolutely right, and I'll be interested to see how the Colony defense comes back down. That is a timely break for the double wide D-line.
I'd say there's probably 2,000 fans of Ultimate into this sports hall. They're stacked 5 deep all along the far sideline and in both of the end zones either side of our camera tower. Mickle for Colony. Evans cutting short. Mickle's going to have to go with a rangy shot to the end zone. There's going to be pressure underneath it. Rising high, contact was made between two players as they advance. A foul has been called. It was Andrews cutting into the end zone, colliding. I'm just struggling to see the number on the player he collided with there.
Oh, and it looked like Paul Denyer did get his forearm around Chase Cunningham. I think Chase Cunningham has.
And it's been declined. It's been declined. And the goal will stand. Let's have a look at that shot again from Mickle. Downfield. Cunningham chasing Andrews, but the bid across the top from Kocher. Cleanly taking the disc high in the air.
And not the cleanest hold from the Colony offense. It looked like Mickle had very few other options when he pulled the trigger on that one. The double wide defense mounting the pressure, tightening the screws. I can't wait to see Kaplan Maurer step back out on the field for the next double wide D point.
And Mickle took a break there, went to get a drink, but he's back on for the defense. Reliant on the big 23. Mickle moving to Sydney and playing with this team throughout the Australian season. Traveling across.
And another junk look here from Colony with Mickle anchoring the top at the deep.
With 3 minutes on the clock, time is running out for double wide. When the clock goes, they'll finish the point and the winner will be the team with the most points. We're not playing any sort of cap. The only way it'll continue after the buzzer is if the scores are tied after that point is finished.
Bennett exercising some patience there, faking those blades this time around and resetting to Loscorn.
Rob Andrew, the big force, part of the Australian World Games side from Wrocław last year. Looking for a way through. Gibson providing one. Contact made and Gibson calling the foul. All the players wanting to see this get started straight away. Gibson taps in. Looking for a cut up the line, looking for a cut anywhere. Colony offense, defense just waiting, but that disc across the field from Gibson was perfection. Fast, accurate. Just, there was no flatness on that disc at all. It was straight up and down in.
Talk about slicing up a zone. That is exactly the throw that you're concerned about when you force that flick direction. But again, by the same coin, is that a high percentage look for their offense, and how many throwers on the line can complete that throw? Two sides to the coin of choosing to force that way.
So with 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock, my money is that this is universe point. This is the equivalent of universe point for this game. The buzzer will go during this point, and I think the team who comes down with it is going to be the winner of this game.
So taking a look at these lines here, Colony has the goal scorer, Alex Shepard, the Mammoth man, John McNaughton, Captain Tom Chulet, Chris Kocher, Jimmy Mickle, Gavin Moore, and the other captain, Mark Evans. Looking down at double wide, we see Kaplan Maurer, Dalton Smith, Jay Frood, Dan Emmons, Kurt Gibson with the pull, Chris Larberg, and Andrew Walsh.
40 seconds to go. The team that score this will be in the final and playing against Revolver tomorrow. Kocher with the reception from Tullett. Tullett fakes back and takes the disc. A lot of work to do yet. Evans with it. Looking downfield, there's a fast cut from Shepard, but now he's going to have to come back underneath. Play continues. Has been contact made.
And just a note to everyone watching the clock on our stream, that clock is off by about 20 seconds. And that means that this point, as you predicted, Tom, is double game point for a berth in the World Championship game.
WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships Men's Division semi-final. Down to this last point as Jimmy Mickle comes across. Slice downfield to McNaughton. Kocher on the sideline. Evans, oh sorry, it's not Evans, Moore. Now Tullett. Moore cutting up the line. Tullett slices across the top, and Colony are in the final of the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships, beating double wide. They've done it by 10-9 in the most remarkable of circumstances.
Just clinical mark breaking all the way down the pitch for the Colony offense. Whenever those break windows were open, throwers stepping out, seizing them, taking advantage of the close, aggressive, tight double wide marks. And Colony, the 4 seed, their championship hopes live on.
And it's a great statement for World Ultimate as well, that we don't have an All-American final. It's going to be Australia against the USA, Colony versus Revolver. And how are this team from Sydney going to be facing up against the San Francisco Force? That is the Revolver side.
Well, it's no secret that Revolver has more depth than this Colony squad. A, they simply have a bigger roster, and B, the talent from top to bottom is unmatched in this men's division. But I think Colony are going to give Revolver a match, at least for the first half. I think their offense has settled down. The question will be how well their O-line defense can play if and after they turn the disc over.
And the roar you hear is the Colony team giving the applause to the fans. Thousands of spectators crammed into this wall-to-wall soccer centre, which I have to say again, only 2.5 hours ago was an empty sports hall. And now is the scene of some of the most incredible celebrations as Sydney Colony go into the final of the men's division. Tom Stiles and Ian Toner with the real pleasure of bringing you the action here from Cincinnati. I don't think I'll ever see a game quite like that again.
I think there's just so many environmental variables making this one of the most special experiences any of these players or spectators will consume in their ultimate careers, in their ultimate lives. The acoustics are incredible. The pressure of the time cap is unparalleled. The championship stakes couldn't be higher.
It's been a real treat, and wherever you have been watching this, I do hope you've enjoyed it. We've got more live Ultimate to come here from the stadium. Following this game, it's the conclusion of Revolution versus Brute squad with Evan Lepler and Becky Thompson. And straight after that, Riot versus Molly Brown with Hannah Pendlebury and my good colleague here, Ian Toner. We do have a short break, but at 10:30 tonight, BFG versus AMP, and the final game this evening, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Slow White will play wildcard. Those last 2 games for places in the mixed final. And the excitement here will continue all evening. A great party atmosphere. They said the Friday night party was cancelled, Ian. Well, it's back on, and it's got 1,000 fans very excited about the action. From Tom Stiles and Ian Toner, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us for this game. Action will continue on the World Flying Disc YouTube. Until then, goodbye from me.
Take care.
By the end of the night, everyone might feel like dancing. This is an unprecedented experience in the world of Ultimate at the World Ultimate Club Championships. The men's final is set, Revolver and Colony. And now some business to take care of in the women's division. Evan Lepler and Becky Thompson privileged to be at the wall-to-wall soccer park here in Mason, just down the road from where we've been all week at the Lebanon Sports Complex. 20 minutes left in this game, Becky. It was 7-6 Revolution. They're up a break. They'll be pulling to start the proceedings here. Brute will be on offense. They will receive once we get to half. There won't be a stoppage for a halftime, but there will be Revolution getting their rightful possession. So, if you can try to put in perspective what we've experienced today and what you imagine will transpire over the next 20 minutes, go right ahead.
I mean, it's a very hard one to predict here, Evan. Obviously, in the first half of this game, wind was a huge factor as well. We saw Brute Squad and Revolution have some unforced turnovers due to that breeze. Obviously, no wind in this building. That being said, Revolution has never played indoor Ultimate once. They are not afraid of it. They feel like this is the World Championships. They've been staying loose. They're still dancing, as you can see right now. And on the other hand, Brute Squad also been dancing and singing for the last 6 or 7 hours since we've been on a break.
Yeah, they were told there was a lightning delay, and they started singing and dancing. The first 13 points of this game, there was kind of multiple stories to it. Back-to-back breaks for Revolution to start 2-0. Only one turnover in the first 5 points of the game for Revolution. But since then, they've turned it over 13 times. That's 14 turns for the game, one fewer than Brute Squad. When the wind picked up, that's when Brute Squad made its run. Now that we're playing in tranquil conditions, how will Brute Squad match Revolution's athleticism?
Brute Squad's going to have to come out with a very different defensive look here. They're going to need to find a way to slow them down and slow down those give-and-go runs that we know they love to play so much. This condition's definitely, I think, favoring the Revolution side a little bit. So Brute Squad needs to shut down those give-and-goes, and they're going to have to defend the deep strikes of Elizabeth Mosquera.
This field house is completely packed. And the word-of-mouth nature of how this came together, with the president of WFDF coming over, investigating, could this possibly happen? And then literally 2 hours later, there's over 1,000 people, a full video crew, and several of the world's finest Ultimate teams. And there's 20 minutes on the clock as Revolution prepares to pull to Boston Brute Squad. A 7-6 lead for the women from Medellin, who really stormed onto the Ultimate scene internationally in the past few years. We've talked about the World Games. We've talked about the US Open. We've talked about the fact that the Cardenas twins won't be 19 years old until a week from tomorrow. Here we go, Revolution in pink. And the drop pull from Amber Sinecrope. You gotta be kidding me.
That is not the way you want to start off this campaign to make the finals.
Can Revolution capitalize? Cartagena to Manuela, and she's in the end zone. She beats Groom for the score. Revolution takes half, and they will receive this next pull despite breaking Brute as we get things started indoors.
And I love the way that Revolution isolates Manuela Cardenas in that space as well. They're trusting her to get open above all of their other players, and to be able to do it in these conditions and the confidence that Revolution has brought into this game, Evan, it's just awesome to watch.
Amber Sinecrope, 17 years playing Ultimate. She's been on Brute Squad since 2005. The Ultimate veteran. And she's probably never played in an atmosphere with the stakes quite like this before. Can Brute recover?
We've talked before about the pressure that these big games can bring, and the pressure of wanting to bring your team to a World Ultimate Championship final. And now with the conditions we've seen today, the crowd in this indoor facility, it's a whole different game.
Winner of this game takes on the winner of Seattle Riot in Denver, Molly Brown. Tomorrow's schedule still being sorted out. Word is, it is likely to happen right on this field indoors at some point during the day tomorrow. Revolution on offense after taking half. Manuela Cardenas sending Laura Ospina. Can she get there? She bids. She's got it. Unbelievable athleticism from the Colombians on the biggest stage.
I did not think Ospina was going to be able to get that disc. That disc put up by Manuela Cardenas had so much zip on it, so much speed to the end zone, maybe misjudging the indoor conditions at all, but she knows her receiver, she knows the speed that Ospina has. Incredible grab by Revolution, 2 goals right off the bat. They lead by 3.
Absolutely electric. Manuela let it fly. And then Laura Ospina, as good as it gets. 9-6 Revo. Brute Squad on the ledge right now. Sinacrope, sure-handed this time. Centers to Tajima. And you can just see the difficulty in finding an open teammate. The defensive pressure suffocating. Malinowski finds a gap. Here's Leanne Hoffman. Looking to the end zone, and that's incomplete. Grignon Thomas could not come down with it, but a foul was called.
Yeah, Montagna there just tracking down the back of Jessie Grignon Thomas, the Canadian from Quebec. And hard to see exactly what happened from angle. We're going to get a replay here. Montagna just coming in a little bit on the backside, maybe some contact on the arm.
There was certainly a bump around the waist as well, but whether that was incidental or Grignon Thomas was the one who created the contact. It's going to be a contested foul, so the disc will go back to Leanne Hoffman, who's a superstar in her own right. The 27-year-old World Games standout out of Northwestern University. Went to high school, the same exact high school that Jimmy Mickle did. Sydney's Colony just pulled off the Universe point win over Double Wide. But now Hoffman's Brute Squad team on the brink. Revolution gives it right back. Already 5 minutes gone off the clock. This is a true jump ball. Hail Mary, and guess who won it? Gina Cartagena, skies above the rest. Cartagena throws around Hoffman. And this is Valeria Cardenas with gorgeous throws, sending it deep. Young, no! The 4th turnover of the point gives it back to Brute Squad.
I'm not sure about that decision from Becky Malinowski either to shoot that deep. A jump ball, a Hail Mary, maybe a little bit of desperation showing from this Brute Squad side.
There's a pick downfield, the throwing up from Sinacrope. This is gonna fade out of bounds. And Brute Squad is just killing themselves with one mistake after another. Granted, these are unprecedented conditions and circumstances, but Revolution has handled it much better through the first 6.5 minutes of just the 20-minute period. Another 50-50. Malinowski sized it up, but she couldn't make the catch. It's Mish Phillips. Young slows it down. Valeria Cardenas over to Phillips, the Australian. She's got to be pleased with what Sydney's Colony just did. Phillips, marked by Schwam. Stall count rising, flips it to the end zone. Revolution scores again.
Revolution have shown up here today, Evan. They have put 3 unanswered points on the board in this intense situation, and Brute Squad right now seems like they're beating themselves a little bit. They're putting discs up into space, but away from their receivers, and some miscommunications going on. They're going to have to find a way to answer. Only 12 minutes left in this game.
Dating back to around noon today, the score was 6-6 after Brute Squad had overcome a 2-0 deficit at the start, getting back-to-back breaks to get back in the game, but now 4 in a row has left Brute Squad and their head coach Ariel Jackson looking for answers. Under 12 minutes left. Did you tell me that Medellin's Colombia's Revolution doesn't do this every Saturday night?
They don't play indoors, Evan. They have generally good weather conditions all year round versus Boston, who spends quite a bit of time indoors during the winter season.
Ooh, Tulsa Douglas, almost the disc hit her foot. Bounced out of bounds, and she'll walk it up to the front of the end zone. And it actually landed out of bounds, so she'll take it all the way to the brick. Roxana Gonzalez on the mark. Here's Werfele. Her first look was long, didn't see anything developing, so Groom looks for Lee. The diving clap catch from the player that is known as the Grinch. And there's Werfele. Brute Squad on the board. Now let's see if that can slingshot them forward. The strength of their team is their defense.
And that's the best offense we've also seen from there so far in this second part of the game, this indoor situation that we have here, finding their way up the near side of the field. Caitlin Lee bidding to retain possession as well, and like you said, defense is going to have to figure out a way to stop the speed of these Revolution women.
If any American club team can do it, you'd have to think Brute Squad's athleticism. They were 1 point away from being the 3-time defending national champions coming into this Worlds event. They avenged in some ways, perhaps not totally emotionally over, but they got the win over Fury, last year's champs, in the quarterfinals. A 15-9 score that was surprising to all. Shelly Cohen to pull for Brute Squad. Nicole Canning, Chelsea Murphy, Cassie Wong, Lauren Sadler, Tulsa Douglas, Juliana Werfele on this Boston line, and that disc, was that a drop pull from Revolution?
Lillian Weaver slipped there as she was running up to catch the disc, and unfortunately as she slipped, the disc hit her before it hit the ground.
Another curveball. And Brute Squad takes advantage. Cassie Wong from Shelly Cohen. The only thing perhaps that could have killed Revo's momentum and given Brute Squad an opening was a drop pull. And just like that, 2 goals in a span of 35-40 seconds. It's a 2-goal game again.
It's exactly what Brute Squad needed to take advantage of a turnover in the red zone. And earlier in the day, we didn't see them do that. They were dropping passes and throwing things away near the Revolution end zone. So a good thing to see them come out here. Unlucky there for Weaver. Just a slip, and the disc hits her before it hit the ground. Maybe not as bad as actually dropping the pool.
You see, Aleja Torres was ready for the centering pass, and it never transpired.
And this turf field out here as well, it's pretty hard, and these cleats aren't always sticking into it. It's a very thin surface, and maybe things like that causing the slips of Weaver.
Shelly Cohen to pull again. Angela Zhu, Cammie Groom, Caitlin O'Connell, Sophia Hulbert, Caitlin Lee, Vicky Negus on the field for Brute Squad. Cartagena connects with Manuela Cardenas. And off the hands, but saved by Aleja Torres. Here's Ospina. And there was a pick downfield. So hold everything. We're under 8 minutes to go. Unlike normal whiff-diff rules, when this time expires, the game is over after the next goal is scored unless the game is tied. the extenuating circumstances of the situation forcing the push to come to shove. Manuela Cardenas is there. Nice vision from Aleja Torres.
A perfect pass there from Torres into space. And Manuela Cardenas opting to make that strike cut from the same side of the field as Torres, and that is something you can really take advantage of in this indoor situation, as well as there's no wind to stop that nice blading flick huck from going up.
The sentiment on the sidelines during the last game was that folks were kind of afraid to throw hammers because they don't want to be the first player to hit the ceiling. Now the rules that both teams have agreed to, as we understand them, if the disc does hit the ceiling, it comes back to the thrower. It's not a turnover like you might expect. So keep that in mind if it comes to be involved in the next 6.5 minutes. Again, if you're just joining us, this is the first women's semifinal. We've been outdoors at the Lebanon Soccer Park all week long, but violent thunderstorms, tornado warnings have forced us indoors, and the Cincinnati Ultimate Organization, along with WFDF, has gotten us basically an ultimate heaven here on this Friday night in Mason, Ohio. Sinacrope. Hoffman. Valeria Cardenas on the mark. And Hoffman up the line. Oh, goodness! A huge collision. Sinacrope is not happy. Nearly slamming the disc on the ground. Maria Paula Beltran going for that same space, got there late, and Sinacrope felt the impact. Ariel Jackson doing a spur-of-the-moment concussion test. And Amber is going to stay out there. By the end of the night, we're going to have everything here.
We're definitely starting to see a little bit of every kind of action we can.
Sinacrope throws over the stack to nobody. Becky, it hasn't felt like Brute Squad's been ready for this moment. Then again, how could they be?
How could anyone be ready for this moment? It's been an incredibly crazy day with so many unforeseen circumstances as well.
Maria Angelica Forero. Manuela Cardenas shooting it deep. That's going to be easily intercepted by Erin Ray. Time is starting to tick down. We're at 4.25 minutes remaining. Grignon Tomas looking for Hoffman. Brute Squad within one.
Brute Squad needed to find a way to respond there. They did. They got lucky with the huck from Valeria Cardenas. Was a little bit too low.
Brute Squad within two. My mistake. 11-9 the score.
And Brute Squad back within 2 points. About just over 3.5 minutes left here in this game. Revolution still in the driver's seat though.
Brute Squad's going to need some special defense and quick conversions. Ariel Jackson talking on the field. He needs to get off. They need to pull. These are precious seconds ticking away. Shelly Cohen to launch. Brute Squad finished 4th in Prague in 2010, needing a rally to avoid that 3-4 slot again. Cartagena beats Sadler to the disc. Cartagena absorbs the bump. Sadler does not contest. Excellent defense, Groom on Ospina, but downfield there was a pick. A violation, actually.
Lauren Sadler trying to put everything she has left into this mark.
Sadler, a great veteran, a great champion. Boston with DC, Team USA. And Sadler come up with something special on the mark. Revolution on the doorstep. Neither team has a timeout. That was another one of the rules. No timeouts for either side in this 20-minute second half extravaganza. Torres, the veteran. Sneaks it through. Was she in? She was. Maddie Fry finding just a big enough sliver of space.
And Revolution so close to their first World Ultimate Championship, Club Championship finals here.
They can basically run out the clock. Have to pull one more time, but Brute Squad would have to score twice in the next minute to have a chance. That goal basically wrapped it up. You're right, Becky.
And Revolution as well here. They've stayed with the same style of play that they play all the time. We see them in these tight spaces, playing small ball and squeezing it in to that front corner of the end zone, whereas Brute Squad have adjusted a little bit to the indoor space and have tried to go a bit more for those forced hucks and lofty blade plays even. And it's not really worked out for them, as we can see.
We are under 30 seconds now. The pull soaring out of bounds. Amber Sinecrope sprinting to the spot. It's going to be a loud buzzer in 15 seconds. Nothing Brute Squad can do. They'll finish the point, but on the sidelines, Revolution already starting to celebrate. And Brute Squad doesn't even want to finish it. They just throw the disc down and walk off the field, and that is how it's going to end. Revolution making history at the World Ultimate Club Championships here in Ohio. They win it 12-9 over Boston Brute Squad, and the women from Medellin will await either Seattle Riot or Denver Molly Brown in tomorrow's championship bout.
What a game that Revolution just came out here and played. They were clearly ready for this opportunity. They executed exactly the game plan that they wanted to do, which was just come out here and play Ultimate the way they normally would, not let themselves get wrapped up in the situation. And we have a club team from Colombia headed to the World Ultimate Club Championship Final.
Becky, Colombia outscored Boston 5-3 indoors here. They enter with a 7-6 lead. They win it 12-9. It was reminiscent of the wind-free conditions that we saw when this game began early this morning, and they take advantage of the conditions, some shakiness from Boston, and the victory to Revolution. Are they going to sleep tonight?
I don't know how I would after this. It's been an absolutely crazy day here in Lebanon, Ohio, and Revolution, they've got to be excited, but they also have to go back to game plan for whatever is going to happen tomorrow, either Molly Brown or Riot.
What a privilege this has been to be here for this historic event. And one quick thought about Riot, Molly Brown. Riot will retake the field with a small edge. Do you think Molly Brown can overcome that edge and make it to their first Club Worlds final?
Molly Brown's going to really have to dig deep in order to do that. I spoke to them just before the game. They did say they were only going to play 10 players for the rest of this game, knowing that there's only 10 or 20 minutes left, and they have to get those 3 points back. So they're really going to dig deep. They're playing their top 10 people. I think there's a shot, but it's really hard to predict.
There's a different level of pressure inside this building. It was cool and comfortable when we arrived. It feels like it's 95 degrees in here right now.
Yeah.
It is hot. It is sweaty. It is unlike anything we've seen, and it is something that will never be forgotten, especially for the women from Medellin, Colombia. Revolution wins it 12-9 over Boston Brute Squad. Revo on to the finals. For Becky Thompson, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long. We've got 3 semis down, 3 still to go on this historic night in Ohio.
Good evening and welcome back here to the action at the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships, now lovingly termed the World Club Indoor Championships. I am Hannah Penderbury and I am joined by the delightful Ian Toner here today as we see a complete change in format. Very different look at 4:30 this afternoon. The executive producer and president of WFDF arrived at the venue you see before you. It was dark and had soccer goals strewn across the floor. 2 hours later, a full broadcast team arrive in style and make it into the spectacle we have before us. Ian, what are you expecting from this match?
It's no secret that Molly Brown has their work cut out for them. They're down 3 breaks coming out of halftime. 8-5 Riot leads. I will say there are some incredible variables that could potentially help them. The energy of this crowd, the lack of wind presence. So many things that have changed from that early morning matchup that are impossible to account for. And I really think it's just a matter of mental focus and being able to persevere through whatever condition changes, whatever adaptations are required to take the pitch with success.
So we see Molly Brown's first campaign towards a world championship. They're used to adaptation, Ian, having changed hotels 4 times at this tournament due to some logistical issues. So perhaps that might give them the edge over the veterans of Riot, as we now see the get in play. So Molly Brown with the pull on the defensive attack. They'll be playing a short roster. Molly Brown, just 16 of their players cleated up and ready to go in this brutally short 20-minute game. Nice movement from Riot, but a miscued throw behind the back of Lauren Baisha. Up the line to Chastain. And another completely blown defensive coverage. The Mark does all they can. But number 7, Paige Applegate, with the first point on the board for Molly Brown.
Well, that's exactly the start Molly Brown needed after the unusual conditions they've had to endure today. We see this Riot offense, the throw simply just off the mark to Shira Stern. She gives everything she has to make that play. And then Applegate and Chastain off to the races shortly after the turnover, as we've seen so many times before with this Molly Brown offense. Down 8-6, 18 minutes and change until the cap.
So first blood in this very short, very intense indoor finish to the women's semi-final. They will advance to the World Championship stage, the peak of the club scene. These 2 North American sides battling it out, no strangers to each other, but strangers to these unique conditions.
Yes, and we know from the result just moments ago that they'll be facing the Colombian Revolution squad in the final, who has yet to be beaten this tournament.
So Riot, second opportunity to get that much needed defensive hold. Sit on that cushion, play out the game. A disc goes up. Good separation, but that's going to hang for days. Great defensive play from Molly Brown.
Kira Lindgren stepping up when the moment matters most. Captain Sarah Taggart will bring this disc back in play. 70 yards to go for the break.
Molly Brown with a vertical stack look. Applegate peeling off the front. Chooses Schaffner on that far sideline. Nice high centering around. Certainly creative throw use available to both sides in the conditions with no wind whatsoever. Caithley, vicious fake with the backhand, but throws far to the left side of Claire Chastain and gives the disc back to Riot. Sennheiser on the disc. Chews up a big shot. And that is Verzou in the far side, using the stature to great advantage.
Well, I was so excited about that Pitt-Caithley-Verzou matchup after the turnover. Just a simple underneath execution error from Pitt-Caithley on that throwaway, and you could tell on the switch after the turnover, immediately Lindgren drew the Verzou matchup. Lindgren giving up at least 4 or 5 inches to Verzou, if not more. That floaty shot to Verzou, a high percentage look every time when she's got that much of an advantage on the receiver.
Well, and Verzou indoors is my surface, Ian. That's my favored place to play. A bit more of a game than a sport, some might argue, but certainly a tall game. No wind, you can just put it up. So easy to read if you can get the height. And the advantage there was clear. Towering over Kira Lindgren.
Yeah, we haven't seen any difficulties with the roof beams or other architectural pieces limiting throwers. Perhaps pullers have been holding back a bit. But we've seen hammers, we've seen hucks, nothing negatively impacted in that regard.
And a zipper of a throw opens up the offense, now working it nicely down the center of the field. A bit stifling, but good footwork from Applegate. Gonna take the arcing around backhand. Chastain pops it up over the top, into the hands, waiting and open of Lisa Pitt-Caithley. As 14 minutes and change remaining on the clock. 9-7 to Seattle Riot.
Well, that's a nice quick score for the Molly Brown offense. You saw them navigating the Riot defense with relative ease there. Claire Chastain has every throw in the book in these conditions. You saw that high release, vertical blading backhand to the break side there for the goal shot. Something that certainly would not have worked in the stiff crosswind that we were facing out at the Lebanon Sports Complex fields this morning.
So we may well see a change in conditions, change the story and shape of a game. First time in these semifinals. I'm excited, Ian. I don't know about you.
And let's take stock of all the semifinal matchups we've seen already, right? We saw Revolver just punish GOAT in dramatic and quick fashion. And to be honest, I think GOAT's undoing there was their urgency against the clock. Their offense pulled the trigger on some deep shots that they might not otherwise have thrown had the time crunch not been working against them.
Speaking to Molly Brown before this game, they said they couldn't just shout their way through the match, as we see a big shot going up from Riot. Relatively short field remaining. Good work from the handler set. Keeping the resets alive. Verzou showing that Jack can go on both sides of the disc. That's going to go right to the back line, but sits up just enough. Great spin on that disc, Ian.
Well, a nice inside shot. Sitting just enough in these still conditions.
And you can see just getting enough of an angle away from Maggie Chen.
Well, we're now at 10-7, a 3-goal margin. We've got just over 12 minutes left. Can't emphasize how challenging the time factor is now. I think this has to be a hold for Molly Brown. And if the next point isn't a break, it's game over for Molly Brown. Technically, there's time left on the clock, but I don't know how they're going to do it otherwise.
Well, we've seen some drop balls already this evening, Ian. You never know. If you get a break and then can pressure the initial handler movement and come out the blocks firing. Never say never. We've seen stranger things happen on the ultimate field. But as you rightly say, I think Molly Brown holding this point now, very crucial as we see a lovely flat backhand pull. Applegate, center of the field. Molly Brown running incredibly short lines as the marks tumbles to the ground. Both sides giving it everything they have, knowing that this could be the end of the tournament if they can't put it out the bag. Double cutting upfield, really relying on the handlers to keep the disc alive. Casey comes out, reaching lefty grab, big backhand going up, and that's going to have money written all over it.
Well, you see how crucial Pitt Caithley is to this Molly Brown offense on that point, going every other, functioning as a distributor that time. We typically see her stretching the deep lanes, but so impressed with her decision making and execution under pressure here.
One of the advantages, Ian, I would say, of a receiver coming into the backfield, especially indoors, receivers tending to be perhaps of a higher stature, certainly in Pitch Casey's case, it allows you to have those high release points. And with no wind, those release points can be absolutely lethal. But certainly also makes the easier undercuts. You know, you can throw full field, flat, easy to read discs in this environment. So taking away those deep options is crucial.
So more players pulling double duty here for Molly Brown, crossing over from the offense as the clock continues to dwindle. Jessie Schaffner on the pull, Claire Chastain, Paige Applegate staying out there as well.
Well, I can't help but feel we're going to need to see some flying bids.
Applegate drawing the Verjus matchup as Verjus takes off.
But we're not going to see that shot just yet, Ian. But in the center of the field is found. Nice pop up the line into the waiting hands. Good swinging. Williams now. This is good discipline from Riot. We saw some double cutting from Molly Brown, looking a little frenetic and frantic. Riot know their system so well, as we see a pit call on the field.
Well, it looks like Applegate is calling a pick on Verjus. Verjus is still going to keep the disc.
So Verjus puts up an arcing backhand, rolls into the turf in front of the intended target.
This is make or break time for Molly Brown. Claire Chastain has to anchor this D-line. This has to be a break for them to have any real chance here.
And there we see with communication, Schaffner going deep, putting this team on her back. Speed is there, but unfortunately so is the defense. And that is an easy pickup. The Seattle Riot get the disc back.
Great recognition from Paige Soper, usually more active in the handler space, but you saw her peeling off the stack, reading Chastain's eyes before the release.
Dominique Fontenette puts it up into space, and that is completely blown coverage. And an easy score for Seattle Riot.
Well, how quickly the tide can turn just when Molly Brown has an opportunity to get this game within one. A quick turnover and a few throws later, Riot now holds a decisive 11-8 lead.
Hannah Kralkamp there with the score. And I think you may have called it, Ian, 5 minutes, 50 seconds-ish on the clock. The deficit is a mountain to climb. Not going to say it's over till it's over, thus putting myself in the firing line of the commentator's curse.
Hey, I'll take your flack. I'm saying this one's over.
Wow. You may consider it all sealed up, Ian, but we still have 5 minutes of scintillating scenes here in this women's semi-matchup. They may be playing for pride, Ian, but it's going to look pretty good. So an out-of-bounds pull will allow Molly Brown to set up their offense, but of course, Seattle Riot on the shoulders, able to take what they want to take away, as we see a tumble in the center of the field.
Dina Slattery was open deep, but great recognition by the Riot defense. Multiple defenders switching, peeling off, cutting away the deep shot.
Chastain center of the field. Swings to pitch Keithley. Central shot in, pressure from the defense, but well taken. Kalipek. This is much better discipline from the side of Molly Brown. There's a nice single-handed grab, casual from Chastain, keeping cool heads. Not much movement in the backfield right now, Ian. Good centering though, give goes. Flying bid allows Keithley space and room up the sideline, but heads up play, switching from the defense. An inside shot from the hand of Sarah Taggart.
Just a cascade of switches there from the Riot defense in the end zone. After Pitt Keithley took off up line.
And there we see the switching off. Great coverage initially, but causes a wee bit of confusion there, Ian. I think that's why we saw such great separation for Taggart in that far corner.
Well, Molly Brown has had 2 break opportunities here. They haven't been able to cash in either of them. I haven't been convinced that if they get the disc here, their D-line offense is going to have the patience to march it in and not shoot for that 1-goal break, 1-throw goal.
Well, patience is key. Holding the fire, allowing it to be unleashed on the defense and holstering on the offense. It's such a hard skill. We so often see teams using good old conservation of greatness. So Riot now, once again, off to the races, and a big huck. Defense with eyes all over it, just getting into the view. Enough.
Ooh,
Foul's going to be called.
Liza Minor got her hand on that disc before it touched Khalees Cardenas's hand. See if we can get another look at this one.
And it's going to be retracted.
When it touches the ground, disc will be live.
We hear a game advisor, Kate Monforti, explaining that after the call was retracted, as soon as the players touch the ground, plays live.
So Molly Brown, an opportunity here, golden, to show us that they can hold it together for their own offense. A big shot going deep once more, and a fantastic take from Lizzie Laurie for the score.
And an incredible grab, but also an injury sustained on that play. And Molly Brown is alive. Down by 1, 2 minutes left until the cap.
Well, Ian, what a game we have on our hands, as you say. 2 minutes on the clock. Molly Brown needs to bring out the best defensive line they can muster. And it's going to have to be a heck of a play to get the disc back off Riot.
As we see the traditionally offensive firepower crossing over onto the D-line, Paige Applegate going every other and putting that deep shot on a platter for Lizzie Laurie.
So as we say, all important, this D-line now of Molly Brown with it all to do to stamp their ticket for their first ever World Club Championship final. Chastain with the pull.
Can't help but keep an eye on the clock here. Again, just over a minute left. If Molly doesn't break here, this game's over.
And what a heartbreaker that will be. We are pleased to be back in action after weather delays, putting a spanner in the works of this tournament. But I'm certainly pleased to see these two battling it out down to the wire with it all to play for. Surge, upfield, isolated in space. I see Dean Cut has Stern. 3 pass score, could it be? Yes, I think it can. And that is ripped out the sky. And the chances of Molly Brown are dashed.
And this game's over, folks. This next point may start and will take place before the clock expires, but Molly Brown can't tie it up. Ruthlessly efficient offense from the Riot O-line squad.
And there we see the open hands in celebration of Dominique Fontenette as time expires on the game, and Ian, we are done with this match.
Well, looking ahead to tomorrow's matchup, Riot is going to be facing the Colombian women of Revolution. Two squads that really have differing play styles, differing cultures. A difficult match to handicap, set the betting lines for, so to speak. Riot's been crushing opponents this week. Their defense has been stingy, allowing just over 5.5 goals per game coming into this match. But they haven't seen...
Oh, and there's a greatest attempt from Claire Chastain. They may not be able to take this one, Ian, but they're showing us their best. That's some quality flair in this match.
Stephanie Lim so instrumental to Riot's early lead in the first half of this game, earning layout blocks, anchoring the D-line, and marching in breaks.
And talking about marching it in, there we go. Sign, seal, deliver. That is Riot into the women's final tomorrow. And they are rightly so delighted. So stick with us, we'll bring you more action this evening from the mixed division. 2 semis yet to be decided. But it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this match between Riot of Seattle, Molly Brown of Denver. What a show! Stick with us as we bring you more coverage from the World Ultimate Club Championships. Welcome back to the fields here at the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. We have a slight change of format with 20-minute finishes on an indoor soccer turf field with a tight 2-hour turnaround for the setup. But we are bringing you live action here from Ohio as we see the first of our semis getting underway. Bfg of Seattle USA versus AMP of Philadelphia. I am Hannah Pendlebury and I am joined on this stream today by the inimitable Becky Thompson. Becky, you're nice and warm from your own soccer match just now as we've had a brief break. But how are you feeling about this matchup?
You know, Hannah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's definitely a hard comeback AMP is going to have to make. They're starting on defense right now. We've seen big comebacks before, but 20 minutes indoors, it's going to be interesting.
It certainly is, and we'll get underway with a big ball into the end zone. And that is the number 2 of BFG, Kieran Kelly, with the initial score right out the back. And that is what BFG need to do, Becky. Had an 8-4 lead at the start, now take it to 9-4 with an offensive hold.
Yeah, and Kieran Kelly did a great job with the little body, shoulder to shoulder, but no actual contact to cause a foul on that one-on-one battle there as he tracked that disc down. And BFG off to a great start, although AMP still looks pretty fired up here.
Big ripper from the hand of Jeffrey Pate. Sails through the air. And a tumbling defender, desperate to make an attack. AMP really needed to come out and get a break of score off the bat. So far behind for such a brief amount of time. But that is the offensive hold for BFG of Seattle.
Yeah, and BFG, we saw them earlier in the week as well. They love to put those deep shots up, especially to the likes of receivers like Kieran Kelly. So dominant in the air, always able to track those discs down. So when you're in indoor conditions like this, no wind, why not put those throws up?
Well, oftentimes mixed teams can be accused of a wee bit of foul play by just throwing it to the tall individual on the team, but certainly with a national championship on the line, both sides are going to do whatever they can to best their opponents and keep themselves in medal contention. As we see a diving grab there, center of the field. Near sideline has Anna Thompson, such a big name player for the AMP side. More centers into a number 6, Kelsey Devlin. Nice handler movement around the back now as the shot goes in and it's peeled off by the defense of BFG. Far sideline, good up line cut from Tommy Lee. Arcing flick near side of the field. Plenty of space for Coleman. This is good charging offense from BFG. And a tumbling mark exposes the break side, and that is a break of score for BFG, and they are delighted as they charge onto the field.
Yeah, and Tommy Lee there did such a good job to stay focused through the contact that came into his back on the mark there. Didn't let him phase him. I'm not even sure he made a call and went straight for the break side throw.
Well, that's the thing. AMP do need to give it everything they have, but if you're going to bid so hard that you're tumbling on the mark, you're not going to hold that all-important force and just leave your outfield defenders with nothing to do but watch the disc sail into their hands of their mark on their break side. So 2 points on the board in this indoor semi-final finish. Becky, do you think AMP have it in them to pull it back? They're so far behind now, 6 points clear of BFG.
It's hard to say. I mean, there's 16 minutes left in this game, and indoor can move such a fast-paced time frame as well, so it's hard to count them out just yet, but it's going to be very difficult to do.
Well, the blue-shirted players from Philadelphia giving themselves all the hard work to have to do right now. Good attack from the upfield, central channel found. And a big bladey flick. Far corner of the left side, and there we go, AMP are on the board. They have arrived in their second half of the mixed semifinals.
See Carolyn Normile there shooting upfield to Michael Ng as well. That's a great pairing that we saw work for them so well at USAU Nationals in a Universe Point final game there against Mixtape. So good to see that chemistry on the board, and now they're going to have to do something different on defense to generate a turn.
They certainly are, Becky. It's their job to do, to go out and now get the disc out of the hands of BFG. But I have to say, the players from Seattle have been coming out strong. Their offense is looking very efficient, good flow. We were saying before the game, they were all about energy on defense, but possession on offense. And I think that's a very wise call. Just making sure you stay a hold of the disc, keep possession, run the clock down in your favor. You want to have a high percentage of time with the disc in this brief match. So BFG's O-line, fine formation near side stack, exploiting the poaches from AMP's defense. Good movement. Oh, nice handle marks now, much tighter as we see a poachy defender. That's the number 4 shot of Raha Mosavari. And a quick scoop into the end zone, and AMP take a break of their own to take the score to 10-6.
AMP back at only just down by 4 points again, and Rafa Mosafari there, we saw her do that so much throughout the entire tournament as well. Loves to get those poach blocks, especially on her handler defense, and not shy of doing it again here in such an important game.
So we see a transition of looks, initially quite loose and poachy, to then suddenly stifling handler defense, coming up good for Philadelphia's AMP. So BFG will now look to respond. Score in this 20-minute game, of course, 2 apiece, but that deficit of 4 points going to be hard to insurmount as we now have just over 13 minutes remaining. Of course, winner of this match will then go on to face whoever can fight it out between Slow White and Wildcard. We'll have to wait for the action for that match just after this one. A 10-minute break between, but this game is certainly not over. To see BFG, Kieran Kelly far side. Nice centering to the hand, as a good swing across to Crystal Koo, one of the O-line captains for BFG. Movement upfield, no deep strike available, but takes the far side. That's a visionary throw to Rena Kawabata.
Rena Kawabata, you can't forget, a World Games player on that practice roster for Team Canada for so many months of training. She made the move from traffic in Vancouver down to Seattle to be with her partner. Now plays for BFG, and she told us before in her player survey to watch out for her deep strikes, and she's already doing that here. We've seen her do this all week and extending her stride to get to that throw. Unbeatable when she's in front of her defender.
The closing speed of Kawabata there. I didn't even see that deep shot. I thought it was trying to hit the near side, who had much more separation, but fantastic speed. What legs.
Yeah, Kawabata is the kind of receiver that you can throw out to when she's not open on that initial strike, because you know she will be open by the time she gets to the disc.
Oh, I love those kind of players, Becky. As a handler myself, it's always a pleasure to put them out in space and watch your offensive receivers go and chomp them out of the air like that. So an efficient hold as the ball will land out of bounds, allowing BFG to set up their defense, but of course crucial central field position for Philadelphia's AMP. A horizontal split stack, the order of the day. The AMP happy to work it through their handler set. Nice and patient. Furious cuts, a nice high release into the space for the handler reset. arcing backhand, some stumbling there, but can the recovery be made? Yes, it can. And that is a great take, far side of that end zone for the number 8, Luke Ryan.
The kind of offense that AMP is going to have to generate, and they did very well at the start of that point to not react to the poaches that BFG threw in the lanes. As soon as they started to move the disc, BFG was forced to melt out of that poachy junk set, and immediately AMP took advantage with the deep strike.
Well, we were complimenting the closing speed of Kawabata in the previous point, but what a recovery for Luke Ryan there. A wee stumble and then finds his feet and just churns towards the back line. Score now 11-7 as we draw ever closer to those last moments of this game. Still plenty of time, but very big deficit as we see Philadelphia AMP come out on defense. Oh, and for the first time this evening, Becky, we have been affected by the changing conditions. That's the first disc that has caressed the roof of this indoor arena.
So interestingly enough, Hannah, in the previous games, the teams had agreed upon if they threw up a hammer and they hit the roof that the disc would actually return to the thrower, but off a pull, the disc will go back to the brick mark.
Well, the same as an out-of-bounds pull landing on either side of the field. Contact with the roof is out of bounds for sure. Can't play any street ultimate here. One bounce, one catch. BFG, great separation. Just so much speed on the field now, Becky. They really want this. They might have the advantage in terms of scoreline, but all players on the field like their lives depend on it, as we see once more Kieran Kelly, the favorite target, this time by Adam Simon.
Yeah, and like you said, definitely really wanting to get these scores, and this is something we saw early on in the first men's semifinal. Revolver came out with a 3-point cushion, and these teams with only 20 minutes, they could happily try to swing the disc around and slow the play down, but we've seen teams come out today with this fire and a desire to win with their legs, and we're seeing that again with BFG right now.
And that attitude makes all the sense, of course, with a world title on the line. Slightly unusual in terms of the finish, but both teams have been preparing for this campaign for many, many months. Of course, as you say, Philadelphia AMP having qualified for this tournament off the back of that sudden death down to the wire final back at USAU Nationals last year. And of course, their rivals in that final, Becky, not in this championship bracket anymore. They were eliminated earlier on, but AMP now opportunity to put another point on the board and keep the dream alive. Great defense. It's going to be a huck it and hope. Defensive position is there. And a wee bit of contact from Ryan, but all in good spirit. And that was just smothering defense, resulting in a throwaway.
Yeah, Linda Morris there didn't have any other options than to put it up into space, and just releasing with a little bit of an IO angle like you might do in the wind. That's not going to work indoors here.
So BFG off to the races once more. Throw a deep shot of their own, but this one is far more intentional. Position is there, but double coverage disables the ability of Linnea Su to reel that one in. He's been disarmed. So AMP get the disc back. Mofazari on the mark. Pick call on the field. And we're back in action. A little stumble there on the turf. Of course, these players not having expected to be on this surface, as we see a ripper of a backhand from Anna Thompson. And once again, a turnover as the disc is picked off by the defense. Kingery. Oh, this is becoming a game of throws here, Becky. You see some tasty footwork from Sue, far sideline. Puts it into the middle of the end zone with a backhand, and that is a score for Seattle's BFG.
Yeah, and twin sisters there, Linnea Sue and Alyssa Sue, dominating that point for BFG. We saw Alyssa Sue on the defense going up for that all-important block to keep BFG confidently ahead here, and then going the other way, Linnea Sue toes the line to keep it in bounds and throws for the score.
So score is now 13-7. Just over 4 minutes left on the clock. As we see BFG 2 points shy of stamping their ticket to the World Championship Finals. Philadelphia Amp, though, not ready to roll over and say enough is enough.
It's very hard in this situation to find a way to dig deep, but you're right, Hannah, they're not ready to roll over. They are at a chance still to get a world final opportunity, and regardless at this point, I mean, it's been such a crazy day for weather and delays. Top 4 in the world for your club. It's absolutely incredible.
Indeed, and all of the teams in the top 4 hailing from the US of A, as we see yet another big ripper in this indoor arena. It's going to be a big layout bid, but doesn't come up with it. Excellent play. Perhaps a call on the field. No hand signals being used as the two players shouted out. Nikki Spiver there. What a heroic attempt at a catch that was.
Nikki Spiva making the move from DC's truck stop over to Philly Amp this year, and has been a dominating member of this team, has fit right into their systems.
And so BFG, oh, what a block! Shame she couldn't make the catch, but my goodness me, what a play from Alicia Dixon. And it's plays like that, Becky, that are much needed by Amp, as we see some tasty footwork. No consideration for his body. Have a little discussion there as to whether that was in bounds. One of those tiptoe and hit the floor kind of end zone scores. It is called good. No, sorry, out of bounds even. Well, out of bounds. Hold on. Not seeing his hand signals. Okay, back in play, not in bounds. Valiant attempt. Difficult, of course, to see in this lighting as we take things to rather late time. Local time here in Cincinnati. Currently 10 to 11 at night. So BFG, opportunity to take it to match point. As we see a pit call on the field. But what a play, as you see, of course, from Alicia Dixon there, Becky. That was sensational. Saw her warming up before the game doing walking handstands, which shows some very, very impressive core strength indeed. Nice inside backhand from Terrier. Bend it. Nice pop up in front, run into space. Follows the pass. Not going to be any options immediately, but there is a visionary hammer into the center back side of the end zone. And there we go. Taking the score, extending the lead, 14-7 now in this match. Very, very little time left. I think, Becky, we might have to say this one's been put to bed in terms of Amp's hopes at obtaining a gold medal. But that doesn't mean it's all over. We saw in the last game we covered on this stream when Molly Brown were in a similar situation. The last played point, we had a sensational greatest attempt from the number 52 Claire Chastain of Molly Brown. So all still very much pride to be playing for. Both these teams will look to finish this game, and for one of them finish their Worlds campaign with class, poise, and a little bit of flair. So BFG with their pull for what could possibly be the last point of this mixed semi-final. Pull will land out of bounds. As we'll see Dixon bringing it into the center of the field. Hammond, a very flat backhand, but a tumbling defender. Ryan very free. Hammer over the top, too far to be trailed in. Whistle goes for time.
And you can see Mario O'Brien there was hoping, or maybe misunderstood, that when the whistle went, the game isn't actually over yet. The point is still to be played out. We did see Revolution and Brute Squad earlier. Brute Squad was down 3 points, knew they couldn't come back. They did decide to end the game during the point, and a little bit of confusion there.
Well, has, as you indeed point out, Becky, been some discrepancies in the decisions made. I was speaking to Ruben Berg ahead of the game, and it is indeed to be given the fans what they want. It is deemed that they will play out the rest of this one by the looks of the hand signals. As the fans say, one more point, one more point.
Yeah, and Andrew Hagan, going back to that mark, he slipped on the mark, which is not normal to see. He's a previous Revolver player out of San Francisco as well. The number 4 shirt of Hagan has been so on fire all weekend.
Big deep poach in the backfield from the blue shirts of AMP, as we see BFG charging down the field. Andrew Hagan in the center on the disc. He's going to put up a big backhand. Can there be the layout? No, there cannot. But this one will be put to bed. Potentially, sorry. Again, we're seeing confusing scenes.
There was an injury call, a foul call briefly in the middle of the field there. Mario O'Brien just went slightly over on his ankle. And
okay, now it's over.
Okay, the call on the field from the game advisor. The fans don't like it, but we need to get things underway for our next semi-final. And there we have it with the score at 14-7. BFG besting AMP, and they will advance to the finals tomorrow. So stay tuned with us here on the stream as we'll be bringing you the final of these dicey, ever so spicy semi-finals. We will be bringing the action from Wildcard versus Slow White. Another difference in score of 4 points. Certainly Wildcard with it all to do on the charge, trying to snag the medal hopes away from their opponents. Stay tuned on the live stream. We'll be bringing more action very, very shortly.
Welcome back to Cincinnati and the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships, and the last game of the day, mixed semi-final between Wildcard and Slow White. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Emmy Fitzgerald in the Sports Hall. Emmy, it's been a heck of a day of action here with lightning delays, and we've managed to find this incredible venue and exciting end to this mixed semi-final.
It very much is, and both teams, of course, not expecting to be playing at 11:08 local time in the evening, given that their round was scheduled for earlier, much earlier in the day. They started playing about 12 hours ago is when the game began, and Wildcard went down early. Slow White executing really well as conditions worsened out on the field. So Slow White currently has an 8-4 lead. This is the tale of two Boston teams who have already faced each other 3 times so far in the season.
And that margin of a lead that Slow White have, 4 points their advantage, and they make that pay. Because of the lightning delays, and we've had a very restricted timetable, and here on the indoor hall we only have a 20-minute game. There's no timeouts, and as when the buzzer goes, the teams will finish the point, and then the team who has the most points after that point is finished will win, unless they're tied. If they're tied, they will play an additional sort of sudden death point, universe point line. So myself and Emmy are going to get ourselves into position on the sideline here. We're at the wall-to-wall soccer centre. A lot of the players that were lining the fields earlier have gone home to their beds, but the atmosphere is still buzzing here. Slow White start off with Johnson. Quick movement across to Ferguson. Ferguson resets to Trahey. Disc to Zolk. Quick movement from the team in white. Wildcard in the blue shirts. Again with Zolk. Zolk across the end zone. There's going to be some traffic here, but it's picked off the top of the pile and spiked into the floor by Tommy Ferguson.
Ferguson really getting some ups there as Slow White works it all the way down the field, and that's been the story of their game so far, and also in their quarterfinal where they upset Seattle Mixtape, the reigning U.S. champions, to earn their place into this semifinal. Slow White just really finding their rhythm so far in the tournament.
A mixed division, one of the more evenly matched of the 3 divisions here at World Ultimate Club Championships, but it's US supreme at the top flight. All 4 teams in the semifinals from the USA. And the mixed tape missing out. They won't get a final placing game because of the cancelled semifinals today, so they will, I think, finish joint 5th. I think that's right.
I think so, and there was a post on social media about it, some jersey trades happening with Crash, I believe, out of Canada. But there is only 1 berth left into the finals.
So an opportunity to play BFG tomorrow for the title of World Ultimate Club Champion, and an error, miscommunication, and perhaps a slip on the turf out here. Myers went to ground, losing footing. Slow White with another opportunity. Quick shot into the end zone, running through at the back. Dominant performance here. They lead by 6. And with only 17.5 minutes on the clock here, Wildcard with a mountain to climb.
And Wildcard not doing themselves any favors by turning it over within half field of Slow White's end zone. And when you have really talented D-line converters, I mean, you see that Hannah Baranis was just cutting to the exact right place. She knew where to go to get that conversion.
All the questions now lie with Wildcard. They need to score their offense first, and then they're going to have to put in the D-line performance of their lives in order to even get back on even terms with Slow White.
And Slow White has their coach, Marshall Goff, who just arrived. He had life commitments get in the way and thought, you know, if the team was eliminated, he would go play Grandmasters in Aurora, Illinois, 6 hours away.
Oh, those life commitments, eh? Haley Olm saw her play a big part in our opening show game against the young Dutch team Groot. Midfield with Johnson and Frost to the far side. Coming out of the stack, front is Cara Hammer. Swings across, has to go to ground. Sliding on the knees. Myers passes back to Johnson again. Call downfield, it's a pick.
And with this being a timed game, every stoppage takes more and more time off of the clock, which could be a detriment to Wildcard.
We have seen all of the calls in these shortened games resolved very, very quickly indeed. Quick movement, downfield, a float into space, using the lack of wind to perfection. Engler doing what he did oh so effectively against the Dutch side. That front of the end zone, cut across and into the back, picked out perfectly. Wildcard with a solid point.
And kudos to Wildcard for keeping their composure, running their system offense, and has that nice curve on the disc to get it to Engler, who's been a target for Wildcard this entire tournament. He currently has 24 assists and 11 goals thus far, this time on the receiving end, tacking on his 12th goal.
As he was the one thorn in the side of Groot in our opening show game, myself and Emmy covering that one as well. And we'll be back tomorrow for the mixed final. 3 games here. All the finals will also be played in this stadium. Sports Hall, sheltering us from the elements. More thunder and storms forecast for tomorrow. The organising committee felt too much of a risk to try and play those games in the stadium. We've removed the variables and brought it inside. Slow White getting their way to halfway. Some confident offense. They're not going to take any risky shots, but they might just make some mistakes. And Wildcard with a chance to get back within 4.
Wildcard needs the break right now.
No time to waste. Ledley down the line to Rick. Rick across the end zone. There's space over there. The arm of defense came across, but the disc was perfect.
And Wildcard converting to get the break when it was crucially necessary. it looked like the slow white defender might be able to get a hand on it.
Oh, you're just saying how smooth their offense was. No hurry about the play at all.
You see that blade go over the top. Nice effort from the slow defense.
Maxwell Rick with the assist. And into the back of the end zone. I think it was John Rahill was the target.
And that's what's fun about indoor play, is that you remove what was a huge contributing factor to the start of this game 12 hours ago, wind. There's no wind here. So hammers and scoobers and blades can kind of do what you want, but you do have a ceiling.
We have only seen one disc hit the ceiling so far this evening.
A lot of teams came in and immediately their pullers started practicing to test the height.
Chang moves the disc downfield to Johnson. Johnson, quick movement, and the disc is going to come back. A pick called. Lloyd Olsen not able to stay with the slow white offense. Caitlin Go swings the disc back to center field. Trahey finding the fast run of Tanner Johnson at the front of the end zone, and slow white slowly creeping away from wild card, out of touch now with 11 minutes left on the clock.
And slow white once again being so smooth in their offense, back and forth, using talented players like Caitlin Go and Tanner Johnson. Johnson registering his 18th goal so far of the tournament. And surprisingly, Caitlin Go, I figured she would have more assists, that she hasn't so far.
And you say that because she's a Callahan nominee.
She was a Callahan finalist in a crucial part of the Stanford team, the Stanford College team there. But she's had a lot of hockey assists as well, so it could be a limitation of stats that are kept.
Yeah, the hockey assist, for those of you unfamiliar with the term, is the long disc that comes downfield that's caught just outside of the end zone. It doesn't count as a score, but more often than not, very quickly turns into a score with a quick pass into the end zone. Movement out to the far side. Casey Turp running and coming back now is Johnson. Kyle Johnson for wild card. Slip on the field, the turf not holding underfoot. Petzinger. Great disc from Petzinger, spreading the play, hard bidding required. Quick jab into the end zone. The high rising Casey Turp making absolute certain of that.
And Wildcard has their offensive system. And when they execute their offensive system well, they have positive results. Exhibit A is the point that we just witnessed. And one of the factors that made it difficult this morning is there weren't great conditions. It makes it a lot harder for teams to convert and take care of it in their system. And now the clock is really working against them.
Yeah, there's one thing Wildcard need, and that's blocks. If they're not going to get blocks off Slow White, if Slow White can maintain possession, they don't necessarily need to score. But if they can just hold the disc, keep it moving through their system, frustrate Wildcard, the clock is on their side. They have this 4-point margin, leading this game 11-7.
And still quite a crowd here, being now 11:20 or so, wanting to see some great ultimate at any hour of the day or night.
Well, it's a nighttime festival of sport. The soccer arena have stayed open late, and they'll be open early in the morning as well. Slow White's offense. Smith running through. Disc just ahead of the defender. Smith caught it in stride. Collision between two players. Totally accidental.
Yeah, it looked like Catherine Sullivan and Caitlin Go got into a bit of contact.
Vicky Cheng. Downfield. The disc was popped up into the path of Jeff Smith, but it was a little quick, and Wildcard do have the disc. And look at the urgency and then the movement and throws. They know they've got to get this done. They cannot hang around. There's the deep shot floating into space that's going to be beautifully read into the front corner. All the way down there, John Rahill just running it in, and they're going to want to get the disc downfield again. Put their defense back out and put a little bit more pressure on Slow White.
That elusive break was possible for Wildcard with that poach earlier from Rick, but how about that closing speed from Rahill once the huck went up? He was running out of boundary line in the end zone, but really well put. And he can run right onto it.
Just that awareness near the front cone slowed the run just enough, but the disc was right into his path and got great separation. So one of the nice things about this indoor arena is every throw that you've got in your locker is on. There's no wind going to disturb anything, and we've seen some really visionary, expansive passing of the disc.
We had an earlier game where I think I counted 4 scoobers thrown in a row to each other on a point, because that's what you do indoors.
That's what you do indoors, yeah. And we also noticed actually a lot of the teams opting for a backhand force, which is a typical, you see a backhand force here again, just removes the hammer break away. No foul call there, despite quite a bit of contact. Wildcard with another break here. To score this one will bring them back in 2. They have 5 minutes left on the clock. They're going to need to get it done quickly again, and that's not going to help them one little bit. A drop. Careless from Jodie Robert. That frenetic pace of the game just getting a little bit on top of her as the disc came to her. Didn't connect. You see the frustration from her and her teammates.
Marshall Goff, the Slow White coach, earlier before the game said they have to play like there's no clock running. Just play ultimate so you don't get in your own head.
Tanner Johnson. Chang. Chang with the return pass to Smith. Smith into the end zone and taken out of the sky.
Tommy Ferguson, I believe. That's his second point of this part of the game.
Tommy wears Rocky on his back. Apparently it's a reference to the fact he's from Philadelphia.
All right.
Well, they started the game, or this section of the game, with a 4-point lead, and they've clung on to the 4-point lead. Both sides adding 4 to their total.
Just under 4 minutes left to play. Winner heads to the finals tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon, 4:30 Eastern. And tune in throughout the day. Our first matchup will be the men's final. The women's final at 2:30. The men's final starting at 8:30 a.m.
It is. It's an early one.
Very early. Now 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Nice if you're in the Far East. Grab at pace from Kapinos and into the front of the end zone, and they quickly throw it onto the floor and get moving again. Wildcard wanting to get back out there as quickly as possible. 12-9 the score.
And the receiver there was running so fast his hat fell off. He didn't even have to take his hat off himself. It was just the drift of his speed. But you really see that on this turf field because the grass is so short. It's very fast.
Well, we had a little a run around on here. As commentators, it's important that we do our research, Emmy.
Any excuse to throw.
That's right. And so we did have a quick throw around. And running on this surface, like having a superpower.
It
just fly. And all the teams have looked very, very rapid with their acceleration. The difficulty has been slowing down. There's been a few slips when players are coming from the very, very high speed some of these athletes reach, trying to slow down after they've caught the disc. I think everybody's been a little bit more tolerant of not calling travels as players are taking sometimes 4 or 5 paces to come to a halt. Oh, and that disc goes underneath. This is going to allow the wild card defense to set. And they quickly do. Deep in their own end zone, but the toss downfield. Just a reminder of the times for tomorrow. 8:30 a.m. Eastern for the men's final. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, the women's final. The mixed final at 4:30 p.m. All the World Ultimate Club Championship final games tomorrow from Cincinnati. Now production crew working hard to bring you the action. They need to take this one, and they do, into the end zone for a quick score. There was a claim that the tear down, they're going to send it back, the contest. Not going to spend too long contesting it. It's going to go back to the previous pass. So Maxwell Rick has it in hand. Everybody wanting to get it moving as quickly as possible. And that's great spirit from Slow White. Just declining the call, letting the point stand. They're back within 2. Now that's crucial, Emmy, because they're back within 2. The whistle is going to blow halfway through the next point, which means they'll finish the points, and it's still going to be Slow White's game, isn't it? Sorry, I got a little bit too excited for myself there. Thought that Wildcard could get back in this one. I don't think they can.
I always enjoy a scenario that leads to a more exciting game as a fan of sports in general, but Wildcard needing to get more points on the board earlier in the start of this time cap.
So a wild card and Slow White conceding the game. There, they run out of time. The whistle has been blown. Not going to start the point. Wild card conceding it. And they will advance to the final to play BFG tomorrow for the chance to call themselves the World Flying Disc Federation 2018 World Ultimate Club champions in the mixed division. It's going to be a great game, Emmy. What can we look forward to on the fields tomorrow?
We'll see a lot of really exciting ultimates. Slow White, a 9 seed coming into the tournament. And now they are competing for a title against BFG, who is a new team who lost in the semifinals in the 2017 College Nationals. And both of them played well, had similar games going into the semis. So I will be really curious to see what that matchup looks like.
Well, that's always nice to see. Teams that are new or are forming or have hit a rich vein of form coming into this World Championships, coming together for a final chance to take home that gold medal from Cincinnati. The action out here has been frenetic. Big takes from both teams, but Slow White not letting go of the 4-point margin. They arrived here and they leave to take their place in that final tomorrow at 4:30 And as well as the games, the 4 matchups, 8:30 for the men's, 2:30 for the women's, and 4:30 for the mixed. We also will have our ulti show, which is going to be Liam Grant and Becky Thompson alongside Charlie Eisenhood from Ulti World, presenting a show all about the tournament and all about the stories from the tournament, Emmy.
And that is just as much fun as the competition itself or the stories that come out of it. Behind every team is a culture and individuals with what they contribute. And there have been some really amazing moments that have happened over the course of the 7 days of this tournament. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Charlie moderate this discussion and the different insights that Liam and Becky are going to bring.
Well, he can moderate a discussion. I think it might be a little more like refereeing sort of a wrestling
We don't
bout.
have referees, Tom.
Oh, we don't have referees.
He'll be maybe
yeah.
advising.
He'll be advising. He'll be providing some advice and clarity to make Liam make a point or something like that. But it's very entertaining. I'm sure if you've enjoyed the coverage Liam and Becky have been bringing you, they have their own unique perspective to bring and lots of stories. Any highlights from this evening's incredible action in the sports hall that you want to talk about?
I think there was a phenomenal layout catch in the Revolution game that is already making shockwaves on social media. If you're an Ultimate fan and you see the clip, go ahead and retweet it because that is just such a wonderful athletic representation of our sport. And those ladies taking care of business to secure their spot in the finals tomorrow, that was the most electric moment in this building by far.
Yeah, so the men's final is Colony, who beat Double Wide today. They get a chance to play against Revolver, who beat Goat. The women's final is Seattle Riot versus Medellin Revolution out of Colombia. Very exciting, and we've just seen Slow White take their place alongside BFG for the mixed final. So 3 exciting games coming up tomorrow from Cincinnati. Until then, signing off from this mixed semi-final, it's Tom Siles alongside Emmy Fitzgerald. And we do hope you join us again tomorrow for more action from the World Ultimate Club Championships.